Because that barrel was literally about to be used up, and I would like to just have room in the hold. The smuggled souls. A hooded figure with a lantern waits at the far end of the quay. A hurried exchange. You give the hooded shape a sign of recognition. It hisses the reply you expected. You hand over the crate and receive a chitty marked with thief sign. Receive the promised remuneration in London. I do wish you could leave things at your house. I mean, I get why you wouldn't be able to do it when all you have is lodgings at an inn, but I don't think you can even do that with like the townhouse or the Z-side mansion. Okay, I think that might actually be Frostbound. And if so, good freaking lord, I don't think I've ever had it be this far out. Is bright as milk. False stars above are black on a pitchy bed. Something is watching you. Its gaze enfolds your boat. You are transparent as glass. Let's see. Flee the nightmare. Turn the helm and flee across the milk-bright sea. This will reduce the nightmare's strength. If it reaches 0, the nightmare will fade entirely. If you have any restful nights, they'll reduce the difficulty. Go deeper into the nightmare. The eye wants to learn you. Well, let it. You'll learn the eye in turn. Increases the nightmare's strength. If it reaches 5, you'll confront the nightmare. This is dangerous, but may win you a secret. Yeah, no, we're just gonna flee the nightmare. We are not in that desperate need of secrets. We're still getting a lot of fragments from just exploring. An escape? The sea churns in your wake. You pull away from the eye, into the shallower waters of waking, but a terror clings. Frostbound. Towers and ramps and galleries and stairs of ice, raised and spun like an architect's honey dream. No spider ever wove so complex a web. The towers are utterly pristine, untouched by human life, but a pitiable encampment squats by the dock. Engage an officer, the tireless mechanic. The tireless mechanic has had enough of Frostbound. He smiles at you over his spectacles, teeth chattering. So glad to see a ship at last. Ready to offer my services. I'm an engineer, finest you'll ever hire. Treat engines like my own children. Not that I have children. Too busy. Usually busy. Let's see. First officer, cook, gunnery officer, and surgeon. We don't have an engineer yet. The tires mechanic increases veils and fuel efficiency. You're hired. Cheaply. Spot of rust, spot of rust. Soon see to that. You there, help me with this spot of rust. Allow the sly navigator to examine the tower. He climbs the steps, panting eagerly. This is the Z, you see? He calls back. The Z risen to become land. Ice is the Zol of the sea. In ice, we find the Z at her most exemplary. And he's off again. You leave him to examine the tower, staring up at the battlements, his breath dragon huffing. Only a few minutes later, you glance back, and the navigator is gone. You climb the steps to examine the spot where you saw him last. His coat lies in the snow. His footprints end at the tower wall. You poke through his coat and find a brass telescope from the Connet, a much-anointed chart, tobacco, and an alarming quantity of lice. But the navigator is gone. You never see him again. Report. Bickering amiably. Not all are Iremi or Withern. There's the odd researcher, the occasional deranged ice sculptor. Now and then a very cold, very sad, rubbery man. But for the most part, an atmosphere of friendly rivalry reigns. And we're going to take tea. Some of them wear the robes of Iremi riddlefishers. Some look like Withern folk, but even more are ragged. But they do seem a little more practical than either of those peoples. We're keeping the steps for the game of truths, a helpful riddlefisher explains, as she fills your cup for the third time. Every year, the people of Irem and Wither meet here for, she pauses, contests. She finishes vaguely. The difference between a question and a riddle. One day, someone will prove themselves enough to enter the castle. You spend a pleasant few hours, while the tea is supplemented by Iremi liqueurs, pale Withern beer, and something the riddlefisher describes blandly as snake cake. They offer you fuel and supplies before you leave. We keep enough to spare, the riddlefisher grins. From time to time, a captain gets lost and comes up here, and we always feel bad for them. Yeah, this was way, way further over than it usually is. We're actually very close to Irem. Like, we may just want to go check that out. Irem. None have ever spoken truthfully of this place. Irem, the pillared city. She will rise from the Z, and the ice like dawn. She will be garlanded with red and decked with gold. The seventh serpent will watch you longingly from its high pedestal. You will always arrive as a stranger, but when you leave, some part of you will always remain. The House of the Amber Sky. Let's see, we need to bring them coffee. But we can compile a report. A conundrum. When you will sit to write the report, you will recall that it was written already. Who wrote it? The report records that. It was already written when it was found. Who found it? The report describes another report, which will indicate the name of the finder. Where is the other report? There is a footnote which describes when you will record its location. When will that be? When all is well, and all manner of thing is well. And yeah, you can sell dark drop coffee beans for parabola linen here, which can actually be very valuable if you bring enough coffee. Particularly if you buy coffee from, I want to say, Carnelian, one of the southern ports, where it's a bit cheaper. So here's the thing. If we went to the Empire of Hands from here, I don't think we'd have enough fuel left to get anywhere that sells fuel at a halfway decent rate. So I think we're going to double back to Palmerston and then see where we're at, which is irritating, but we've eaten through some of the supplies now. I remember those things. That's bad. That's bad. Of course, that's not a spot where you can cut through. Of course it isn't. Chelonet. Waves lap up the slappy sides of a vast turtle shell, bigger than any cathedral. Chelonates loaf on the wooden docks around the shell sides, staring sullenly. Lamps hang like decorations in a festive butcher's window. All around you, the sea is rank with scraps of ancient flesh. An opportunity from the redolent flesh merchant. Even the Chelonate's hardy folk keep their distance. For the flesh, he slithers, drool pouring from between his rotten teeth. The Gant pull, where the heathies die. Bring flesh. We sell it to the turtle eaters. Fresher meat. Big money to make. The Gant Pull is said to be deep underwater, mostly by sailors who do not believe it truly exists. So this is something we can't pursue any further until we have a submarine. Okay, compile report. And... Tales for the bone. Someone is crying unusual wares. Follow the sound. A scrawny man squats beneath an awning of Gant-colored whaleskin. Bring me your tales, he cries. Tales for the bone. Okay, we need a hunting trophy, which we don't have right now. Shops. Okay, we can buy Stygian ivory here. That's about it. Wisdom. The prison walls are mercilessly steep. Nupmid built this place as a prison for the Khanate. Now it answers only to its governor, and its governor answers to no one. Okay, we can apparently, give prisoners away here. We can ransom prisoners. We can try to break people out. I don't know why we would want to do this. There's presumably some instance where we would want to, but we're just going to compile a port report and see if there are any shops. Yeah, we could buy fuel, but at a really bad price. So I think we can make it to Mount Palmerston if we just head for that. Taking tea with the Frostfound squatters again. And we get more stuff. It's honestly one of the reasons that's kind of irritated that for this map it appeared so far away from London, because it's honestly a really nice place to go to just visit as part of other routes, because it also is a great way to lower terror. Explore the island. An oasis of sorts, a quiet hollow, a stream of sweet dark water, a grove of parasynthetic fruit trees, boughs heavy with symbiotic fungus. We're gonna fish in the stream. Oof. Well, there went one crew. Because, when you win a 26% chance, of course, the next time you try a 70% one, you're gonna fail that. The strangling horror that emerges from the water is, you learn later, 4 feet 8 inches in length. Consequently, it falls short of the 5 feet 6 inches, which would qualify as a monstrosity under the Department of Menace Eradication guidelines. This is little comfort to the screaming seaman, in whom it embeds its many mouths. You extinguish its horrid life with a flurry of gaff hooks, but it's too late for him. Still gains supplies. We have extra crew, it's fine. Long ago, the Khanate turned its back on its warrior traditions. It has no place for pirates and would-be nomads. So here, in the shadow, the exiles make their home, amid 100 wrecked, grounded, decommissioned ships. Conniving, debauching, speechifying, drinking, singing, speeching, poeting, now and then a drunken duel. Very occasionally, a savage ritual murder. Stygian ivory and human souls here, apparently. We can also sell a mirror catch box full of very angry dream snakes. I seem to remember that that's related to the tireless engineer or something like that. We can buy empty mirror catch boxes here. Now, I believe empty ones are fine. Those are not illegal goods. It's filled ones. So if we need that, I may talk to the tireless engineer here. Tireless mechanic, sorry. And see what we need to do to get to the point that he needs this to happen. We can also buy outlandish artifacts here if we need them. And while the fuel and supply prices aren't great, I've definitely seen worse. So we're going to buy a little bit of fuel here. It at least gives us another spot out in this part of the map to resupply. Alright, let's invite the tireless mechanic to dine. Lord knows we've got the extra supplies. His tastes are Spartan. He eats little, drinks only water, barely sleeps at all, so you need only lay a simple table. Thanks for the meal and the company. No wine. It makes me sleepy. Oh yes, I can sleep. Too easily. That's the problem. He hesitates. There's a draught I take nightly to substitute for sleep. It works well enough, and it keeps me sane and upright, but I wish I could enjoy just one night's sleep, if you could help me. We need a clayman from Polythyrene. We'll need a mirror catch box, and we'll need to go to Hunter's Keep. I'll explain when we get there. No, I'm serious. I would owe you a great deal. Okay, so yeah, let's grab an empty mirror catch box, and I want to say that you can do this multiple times and turn it into mirror catch boxes full of angry dream snakes that you can then sell at a profit while also making him happier. But until I confirm that, we're just gonna buy one. And let's explore the coal. A privateer encampment. This was an empty cliff top above the bleak waves. Now it blazes with color. Striped tents, colored flames, the music of a pianola and kettle drum. Mustachioed women and languorous men play chess, carve bones, eat cats, and polish their terrifying brass weapons. These are Iron Republic privateers, pirates whose practices contravene the very laws of nature. Well, leaving isn't an option, so attack. They are numerous, but lost to wine and music. You will have the element of surprise, but it's very hard to know what exactly those weapons will do. Or creep close and eavesdrop, but the Republic is privy to the gossip of hell. Creep close and you may learn impossible secrets. Well, we have the 50-50 or the 45%. We're gonna go the 50-50 and attack. A disorienting battle. Your first volley does satisfyingly grievous damage, but a half-dozen privateers snatch up weapons. One is a sort of Gatling gun. One appears to fire bubbles composed of rainbow meat. A third makes it rain in your heart. The fourth weapon explodes in a shower of fat purple sparks that chirp like canaries and chew their way through everything in the encampment. Privateers, tents, loot. The battle is over before it's begun, but by the time it's safe to approach, the sparks have devoured many of the privateers' treasures. We still gained some stuff, and we didn't die. Okay, we're out near the place where you can buy spider silk. As I'm sure you all figured out. Savior's Rocks. The sound of their constant motion is like pebbles on a beach. Preparing for the Festival of Silk. The glumness of the Nativity is broken by reds and golds of freshly hung banners. Spider-worshipping weavers and widows guide the traders in readying their celebration of gratitude to the generous neighbors that silently watch over them from the shadows. We can assist with festival preparations. The assistance of an experienced captain and crew will hardly be turned down. The Haunted Doctor. Please, I must leave this terrible place. The Sorrow Spiders will not take me back. Please. Sure. I'm not sure if I'll swap you out, but you can at least come along. The haunted doctor hurries aboard the ship. He pauses, looking at the cursed wasteland of Savior's Rocks. The lady said I would never be able to get it back once it was thrown away. I see she was... Never mind. Is this my cabin? Yes, it is more than I deserve. Let's see. Yeah, it's surgeon. Hearts +6, pages +3. Versus hearts +6, iron +6. Both are good. We can swap them out in port, like if we're facing specifically a pages challenge like at Cecil, I might swap them in there. But for generally just roaming around, I'd rather have iron. The silk traders of the Nativity know better than to risk loose chatter. Still, a little contribution to their festival may loosen their tongues. Yeah, we had to use a cask of mushroom wine for that. The silk traders don't talk much. In particular, they don't talk of the sorrow spiders at their feet, over their heads, or crawling over them as they sleep. Spiders will not be having that kind of talk about the generous neighbors, they say with haste in raised voices. A delivery of trinkets. An almost entirely legitimate silk trader urgently requests your help with a delivery to Fallen London. Just trinkets, confirms the man, holding out the box. Shaking it, you hear a rattling and see a sudden look of horror on the man's face. He says nothing, though, merely backs away as quickly as good manners permit. Let's assist with the festival preparations. Quiet murmurs of appreciation. The traders of the Nativity have little practice showing appreciation, but at least put in an effort. In particular, they not entirely accidentally let slip the secret of the Accord of Grace, a hospitality granted visitors by the generous neighbors of whom they will speak no ill. They do, however, hint that this only applies to travelers arriving through the port. Those unlucky enough to run aground on the rocks can consider themselves... But no. A sorrow spider might hear something they would, of course, never say. Okay, we can meet with an emissary of spiders. But we have to come back again for that. And we can also trade supplies for silk. Let's see how much we get for 2 crates. 1 bolt per 2 supplies. So that ends up being a pretty slim profit when you factor in that by the time we sell that, we get 50 echoes, but buying 2 crates of supplies is 20 apiece. So it's fine when we have just a bunch of extra supplies taking up cargo space, but it's not an amazingly great trade. The delightful adventuress leans over the rail of the ship, sniffing the humid air with evident distaste. What a filthy, damp little place. Oh well, we shall endure. At the sight of the mare hobbling up, she straightens. A thin, insincere smile spreads across her face. Ah, you there, my good primitive, she calls, striding down the ramp and clasping his arm tight. Now then, I come in search of your first Emperor's vault, and for that I shall be needing a few things. Some of your finest workers and tools and some food. Do you understand me? She shakes her head, barely waiting for a response. F-O-O-D, she repeats. Food. Comprendes? Oh dear, I see we shall be here for a while. Listen, I hear you fellows rather like souls, so shall we discuss that like higher primates? Barnabas stays to settle up while his mistress negotiates the value of her soul with the mayor. Barnabas removes his mask with what looks to be a silent moment of great relief. Underneath is nothing, just a flat surface where his face should have been. Ah, an unfinished clay man. One of those flawed products of polythyreme that follow their own rules. If only you'd known that before he boarded. Of course, that's why the adventuress never mentioned it. He silently presents you with your agreed fee, dips his head in a polite bow, and lumbers back to his mistress. It appears she has struck a deal with the mayor. The delightful adventuress will establish a base camp on Fountainhead Island. She welcomes your assistance as one who has proven to be not entirely useless. Alright, well, we'll travel there. and visit her camp. With a small army of monkeys brought with her soul, she excavates the vault of the first emperor. The delightful adventuress, helped by her faceless clayman bodyguard Barnabas and a small group of worker monkeys hired for the price of her soul, who works to excavate the vault of the first emperor. Gift for the monkey emperor. The delightful adventuress has already uncovered and put aside many treasures. A small statue amongst them looks particularly interesting. We can speak with her. We can go into the vault. Okay, let's do the gift for monkey emperor. Nobody's watching. At least you don't think so. It's hard to tell, with Barnabas's blank face giving nothing away. Can he see? He seems to be able to, somehow. In any event, he makes no move to raise an alarm as you take the trinket. Let's speak with her. Oh, it's you, of course. Help me with these blasted maps, would you? The monkeys are quite clueless. She shakes her head. They claim our souls uplift them, but if you ask me, it's just a case of monkey see, monkey do. Can you believe they think that Zeppelin of theirs will let them create a new empire? Wait, you there. Take that out of your mouth this very second. Vault of the first emperor. It may look centuries old, but this entryway is relatively new. The monkeys can never leave alone, always adding bits on as their whims demand. This tribute to the Emperor's first and greatest has been constructed over generations by monkeys working with stolen ideas of what an ancient tomb should be. Outside the vault, the delightful adventuress flits back and forth between the base camp and the vault entrance. To rush, darling, is to court tragedy. The delightful adventuress pays barely any attention to you as she prepares. She's not yet ready to open the vault. You should return later when she's had a chance to organize her monkey workers. This may take a while. All right. Return to the boat. Go to Port Stanton. Compile the port report. Which won't be worth as much as that first one was, but hey. And then travel to the Sovereign Island. Gain access to the court with that gift. The stench and heat as the gates open up are a sucker punch to your senses. Inside, the stagnant air of the windowless wood palace hangs with sweat and tastes of hair. Everything is filthy, like every surface used. The apes as likely to swing across the roof as walk the floors. In prized oases of relative calm, the high-souled conduct themselves with the poise of high-born lords and ladies. Around them, their barely uplifted lepers scampered around exhausted, taking orders and cruelties from all who care to dispense them. In the middle are countless more, a sea of apes longing for advancement and fighting for what they have with tooth, claw, and low cunning. Emperor Crispin IV holds court in the heart of this palace. None may speak without permission, but the voice of the emperor is still the least heard of all. To step into his throne room is to step into another world, a polished one of cool and blessed quiet that already feels as alien as it is pleasant. An official welcome. The emperor sits on his throne, wrapped in robes of violet and wearing an ornate golden mask. He remains motionless, silent. He could be mistaken for a statue, if not for an almost imperceptible nod to grant his seneschal permission to speak in his name. She approaches, arms folded in the red-trimmed yellow robes of a court mandarin. Her expression is carefully blank, her chestnut hair on her face powdered alabaster white and decorated with exquisite detail in red and black. The rings on her fingers mark her as a 10-souled ape, a status even the Admiralty can respect. She bows before you, a complicated ritual display of sweeping sleeves that somehow never breaks eye contact. Finished, she waits for your response. Well, we got a 46% chance of attempting to return the bow. It's a pages challenge, so we're gonna try. Nope, didn't get it. Did you do something wrong? It appears so. Be that as it may, there's business to discuss. The Great Exodus. The exquisite seneschal requests your assistance to supply the Empire of Hand's great work, a zeppelin that will take them to a new home far away from here. You point out that the Admiralty has the Empire of Hands under both embargo and quarantine. The only thing worse to be caught doing here than supplying them would be helping them escape their confinement. Have your people not already caused us enough pain? She demands. We starve, and you would prevent us being fed. We thirst to explore, and you cage us like animals. Why? For what fine purpose? What threat are we to you who happily dine with devils? She shakes her head, almost with pity. What could you possibly see in us that shames you so? Yeah, we're going to refuse the commission. As you wish, my emperor thanks you for your gift and declares you an honored guest of this court for as long as you obey our laws and traditions. You find yourself being led out of the emperor's presence. I would add one thing, says the exquisite seneschal in a quieter voice. If it is your beloved Admiralty's deepest wish that we be gone, the Exodus will grant it, just as much as our freedom. A thing to think about, should it be their wrath that concerns. She bows curtly. I bid you welcome to the Empire of Hands, she says in her normal tone, as two servants close the door to the silent gallery in your face. Visit the Zeppelin in Port Stanton if you change your mind about assisting the Pentecost apes. Okay, port reports. And we need to carry the claimant to London because we need one for the tireless engineer. Nightmare strength going up because of course it is. And encouraging occasion this is to meet again here in this place which has been so very fortunate for us both. Allow me to shake you warmly by the hand since you've demonstrated your unswerving commitment to fair dealing and honest conveyage. Very good. My patron will toast you. Here's your compensation and a little fuel and a few barrels of biscuits. What a certain other captain has widely surrendered for the common I'm going to assume they meant wisely surrendered for the common good. I will take the good word to my patron, and if I am a man of my word, we will see each other again. Unless a whale eats you, of course, in which case I hope you will not think poorly of me for wishing that we will not. Once more we find ourselves here on this quayside, what is, I suppose you might say, the lip of the well of opportunities. Let us both drink deeply from this well, by which I mean my patron has a task for you. Take a payment across the ocean and bring back a little package. Okay. Here's the money. Don't lose it. Now bring the package back here. It is my hearty recommendation that you avoid the ungentle intentions of the exiles. On account of if you return without the package, it is of no interest to my patron whether you've lost it or was taken from you. Good luck, good luck. If you return to London without an unstamped crate of brilliant souls before completing this task, there's a risk that the blind bruiser will take offense. So, once we leave, we'd better go pick the package up from Khan's heart. Well, luckily we know where that is. Trinkets, just trinkets. The man waiting is not a cultist. He's just another ordinary citizen, wearing a silken blindfold. In a few years, perhaps everyone will be wearing them. Deliver the trinkets to the waiting man, still a firmly sealed crate of what are absolutely not sorrow spider eggs. Well, that's relief. Or maybe you just got lucky. Either way, they made it, so did you. Someone else's problem now. What was that address on the crate? The Shuttered Palace? On second thought, it hardly matters. Visit the cellar. You will need, the mechanic tells the sisters, to visit your sub-cellar. Oh, that nasty place, Lucy says a little airily. A little hastily? Yes, we'll take you down there, she smiles. But we'll need stories. Something alarming for Cynthia, a Z story for Phoebe, and a tale of distant places for me. Well, we have all of those. The sisters listen with delight to your stories and unlock the cellar door for you. The key is so heavy that Cynthia can only lift it with both hands. We won't go in, she says. We don't go in. The signs on the stones have a Kaganian look. In the deepest sub-cellar, your candles illuminate a litter of tumbled stones, the remnants of a temple. The pool at the cellar's center is almost dry. The remaining water there seethes oddly in the candlelight, as if it were near boiling, but it's quite cool to the touch. The writhing river flows near here, the mechanic remarks. One of the tributaries of Dream. I hope it doesn't touch the well those poor girls drink from. My enemies find me when I sleep, but this water will attract my enemies to this poor fellow. He bends to dip his hand in the water and sketches a sign on the clayman's forehead. The man watches him stolidly. The mechanic hands him the mirror catch box. Hold this, he says. Keep it open. Don't let go, no matter what happens. The clayman's huge hands enfold the box. There, the mechanic says, turning to you, a serpent trap. Now I can sleep. I can finally sleep. And then I think I may be able to offer you something rather interesting. Allow the mechanic to enjoy his sleep. It might be messy, he warns you. Could you have a couple of strong sailors standing by? Tell them to snap the box shut when the trouble begins. He holds up a bottle of laudanum. I will be sleeping deeply. When nothing seems to be happening, you take to your own bunk, but a roar from the clayman brings you sprinting back to the mechanic's cabin. You fling open the door. The man's eyes seethe with viric flame. It's struggling against the efforts of the sailors to restrain it. As you rush to assist, it flings one sailor off, but the other manages to snap the box close. Instantly the man goes stiff, a lifeless clay statue. The viric glow now pulsates from the box. In the bunk the mechanic sleeps on, his face wreathed in dreamy smiles. He will sleep so until morning. You've learned that the mechanic stole a secret from the dreams of the stone pigs, and we now have a mirror catch box full of very angry dream snakes. Ask the mechanic to explain exactly what the hell is going on. Well, it's like this. I stole a secret from the Echo Bazaar, with the help of the Finger Kings. You know, the serpents who rule Dream. Then I reneged on the Finger Kings. Don't look at me like that. Would you rather I'd given them the secret? I talk about engines all the time. I'm sure you've noticed, and I dream about them. I found myself dreaming of the stone pigs. I don't entirely understand, still. But their how the bazaar travels between stars. Did you know they did that? And they sleep, so the Finger Kings can crack their dreams open. So the Finger Kings recruited me. I found a secret in those dreams, an engine like the Z's never seen. Oh, Captain, let me build it for you. You won't be sorry. But there are some things I need. I know. Isn't it always the way? So, we need to ransom an unsettling sage from that prison we found, Wisdom. We need to find something in Frostfound's penultimate chamber. And we need to take an element of dawn, a casket of sapphires, and 40 units of Stygian ivory, along with the mechanic's secret to the unsettling sage and the unsettling sage to King Eater's castle. Oh me, oh my. That's a lot. So that's where that quest is going to sit for a good long while. Well, we'll gather another port report. And now we're going to double back so we can hand in our other port reports. And hopefully the other claymen that are marked for London, now that we've gotten that done. Yeah, except we can't go back to London, can we? Yeah, okay. Where do we need to go? Khanate Heart or something? Guys, I'm gonna call it here. I'm verging on a migraine and I'm having trouble keeping track of things. So hopefully I just remember that for next time and we can just get that done. It'll pick up at the Hunter's Keep, so see you then.